Right, so the first panel of the conference will keep us around some basic questions about our future, our career, our work. Our speakers will explain how to start your career at Nokia, then what to expect in diverse IT teams, and how to lead our careers to become the person that we dream to be. Let's welcome our first speaker, Jane Clark Ambrosini, who flew to us straight from England. And she is the head of early careers in Nokia with extensive global leadership experience. So now on stage, Jane Clark Ambrosini.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so lovely to see you all. Thank you very much indeed for coming. So my name is Jane Clark Ambrosini, and I joined Nokia in January of this year. I think I've got probably the most amazing job. Because I look after people like you. I talk to lots and lots of graduate students around the world, enticing them to come and join and start their career at Nokia. And when I think back into my career, I have always predominantly worked in male-dominated industries. So before Nokia, I actually worked in financial services for about 20-odd years. And I actually really like working. It has never put me off working with more males than females. But it's obviously part of my job to entice more diversity into Nokia. What I wanted to talk to you about today is something that probably nobody has ever talked to you about before. And that is the difference between what it's like being at university or in studies and then moving into employment. Can I just ask in the audience, how many students, how many of you are working at the moment or have a part-time role? Is there anybody? If you put your hands up. So nobody has a job. Oh, a few of you. Great. So hopefully some of this might hopefully resonate with you a little bit, and you might learn a few tips along the way. So the first one is that when you're studying and when you are preparing for exams and qualifications and whatever it may be, there's this quest to be really perfect in what you do. Everything has to be absolutely spot on. And you obviously have the time to be able to do that. However, when you come into the world of work, it's a more quest for the efficiencies of working. And sometimes your line manager, your boss will say, oh, that was perfect, you did it really well, but you spent a long time doing that. You don't have to spend so much time. It's all around trying to do sort of more things, but not doing it as perfect, which is really different to the way that we are programmed when we study. And so it's really kind of seeking help to really understand what are the realistic outputs then that your line manager or the project that you're working on are really looking out for you. What do you really need to do? What are you aiming for? The second one is around failure. I think when you study, there's a lot of failure avoidance. Your professors, your staff, the professional staff at the universities, they want you to pass everything. They're wanting to do everything they can to make you avoid making any mistakes. However, when you come into the world of work, failure is absolutely inevitable. You are going to fail. And you can see here that I put a quote by Albert Einstein about a person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Has anybody had a look at the history of Nokia in the room? Did anyone have a quick look before they came to kind of really understand the history of Nokia? Because if you did, you probably understand that Nokia as an organisation has made mistakes itself. I'm not going to say any more for that, but it'd be great if you go back and have a look to kind of see where you think that those mistakes are. The third one is about managing your time. So you manage your time however you like when you're studying, when you're at university. Obviously, you have deadlines to meet in terms of getting projects in, the exams, studying for those. But when you come into the world of work, it's very much around working week and working hours. But then we confuse things a little bit more because after COVID, most of us are still working from home or have a hybrid work. And so employers tell you, oh, work whenever you want to work. But what does that really mean? What are you really allowed to do? Can you leave your desk at lunchtime when you're working from home? And what is it really about time management? You can see here a quote from Stephen Covey that says that the challenge is actually to manage ourselves rather than the actual time. And I actually agree with that as well. The next one is the student as a consumer versus an employer as a consumer. So when you're a student, you're expecting lots and lots of different things from your university or from your school. But when you come into the employer, it's actually the other way around. All of a sudden, the employer is the consumer. But actually, if you're a change agent and you want to try new different things, or you want to influence the way that your employer thinks about things or works around things, it's absolutely your gift to be able to do that. The next one is a clear next steps and structure. So when you're studying, you have modules, you have curriculums, you have a structure, you know what you're doing. But as soon as you come into the world of work, all of a sudden your career, you're actually self-navigating. And I think my advice to you is be your own career creator, be really brave. So in 2017, I actually left the city. I had a very, very big job looking after early careers for a financial services institution globally. I actually went back to university. I studied for a doctorate. I really felt that I was young enough to have another career and really move and shift on. And I'm still here, and I'm still working, and I've got all the studies that I did. I'm now bringing that into NOKIA. And it's a really amazing thing. So be really, really brave, be really, really bold in your own decisions. Ask people as well. I mean, before I kind of took the leap of faith, I went into my network and talked to lots and lots of people about what they thought about me, sort of shifting from one thing to another, and whether they thought it was the right thing to do. And then what I found was I could actually do consulting around my studying, which is even more powerful. So when I was pitching for work and in the consultancy world and studying alongside of it, I probably would stuck out a little bit further, because actually I could then start to evidence with academic research around some of the findings. And it was something that I'm, really, really proud that I did. It was really tough. It was really, really hard work. But it is something that I feel that I've invested in myself to take on into the next step of my career. And fortunately for me as well, I actually got one of my academic papers published. So any of the professors in the room who are trying to do that as well will know how difficult that really is, and how many rejections that you get by actually trying to publish papers in top academic journals. But I'm living proof that actually you can do that. It is absolutely available for you if you really want to do it. Again, it's really hard work. I got rejected. And that's one of the things that you'll find in life. Rejection never, ever goes away. But for me, the rejection makes me want to work even harder and really try to kind of go ahead and really kind of meet that goal. And it's all out there. It's all out there for you to do. It's finding the right network of people around you to lift you up, to support you, to really help you in making that next step move. And be really brave. It may be that you decide, it kind of feels like and it is a really important decision whilst you're leaving university about where your first role is going to land and where you're going to be. And I think talking to lots and lots of students around the world, there's lots of pressure. There could be pressure from your parents, for example. There could be pressure from a peer group perspective as well. It may be that you're wanting to do something really different to all of your friends, which may sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable. So is that really kind of the right move that you're making? But if you have read the Linda Grattan book of how we're all going to live until we're 100 and how many different careers we're going to have throughout our lifetime, it really doesn't matter if you get the first thing wrong. It all gets put down to experience. 2 to 3 years working somewhere that may not be right for you, it means then you can move on and do something else. And there are always other ways to be able to upskill and reskill yourselves. Especially in your generation, Generation Z. You are the ones that really do take the self-led learning so much more seriously than any other generation. And especially when you have a look at the LinkedIn learning, I had to look at one of the surveys over COVID. Generation Z was the generation that was using that platform more than any other generation. So I think that counting how many years of service that you have in organisations really will be something of the past. It really doesn't matter. And it's quite funny because some people grumble, some line managers grumble about this new generation. Oh, they don't stick around, they're not very loyal. They'll only be here for 3 years. And my job, and what I say is, well, that's okay, because we'll just hire some more. Because what we are finding is that actually we call them boomerangs, and you might hear much more of this this word. Sometimes you feel the grass is always greener, and you move to another job, and you realise that you're really miserable. It really isn't good, and you want to go back to where you were working before. Please have me back. I've made a big kind of decision. I've made a big mistake. And that's absolutely fine, and organisations know that, and will always hire you back if you've done a really, really good job. The other topic is around diversity. You're going to hear a little bit more about diversity from another one of our speakers. But when you come into the world of work, you really will experience that full life diversity. It's one of the most important societal values. It's really important at NOKIA. We do so much work around diversity. And when you come into the world of work, especially with an organisation as big as NOKIA, I mean, you heard from Marta a minute ago of how many countries even our speakers have come from at this conference today. And we went out for dinner last night with each other, and you really get to understand more about your colleagues and their culture and their way of life and how NOKIA is in their location. And that's how you learn. It's being with and networking with people from different organisations, from different locations, from different wherever, and really kind of get to understand what it's like for them. The other sort of difference is clear tasks and deadlines. So when you're at university, when you're studying, especially when I went back to do my doctorate, there were kind of a lot of deadlines that you've got to try and meet. But when you come into the world of work, all of that is slightly ambiguous. And there are changing deadlines always along the way. So it's not as structured. And sometimes it is, I suppose, when I think about when I go home, what is it in my head I'm still thinking about? Sometimes it really is thinking about some of the tasks that may have taken a little bit longer than what I thought they might have done. There's a changing deadline, which means I've got to change lots of other pieces of the jigsaw puzzle around to try and make that other deadline fit. It's actually really, really kind of quite complicated. But what I've always done and what I've learnt to do is manage expectations of people and just regular check-ins with line managers, with project managers, making sure that they understand where you're at and kind of keeping on track. Otherwise, this sort of thing can really cause anxiety, which is so unnecessary. The other topic is thinking about performance feedback and grades and ratings. And so when you're at uni, obviously you finish a module, you finish a project, you have an exam, and then the feedback is there. The other thing as well, I think, which is in your generation, because of social media, there is an expectation of quite immediate feedback. It feels really strange that you would wait 3 or 4 months for someone to give you feedback over something. We're not used to that, are we? In social media, you get that gratification very, very quickly. But when you come into the world of work, feedback can be actually quite irregular, and actually sometimes it can be quite subjective. And me being me, will always ask a few more questions when I get feedback. So feedback to me is a gift. It really is a gift. It is something that you receive, and it's up to you what you do with it, right? But sometimes, the nuggets of information that people give you can actually be really, really helpful and really kind of steer you into being better at work or thinking about things in a different way. And I think that it is one of the things of seeking that feedback. Be really proactive, but think about what you want, how you're going to use that feedback, why are you asking for it. If you're asking your line manager for feedback every single day, they'll get fed up with you, right? They will get fed up with you if you're asking them for every single thing. But if there is a specific topic that you want to understand more about and really improve, this is where feedback can be really, really powerful. The last one is really I wanted to talk to you about well-being and social life. So when you're at university, when you're studying, there should be and will be provisions around your well-being. And actually, in the world of work, and especially at NOKIA, we take well-being very, very seriously. It is a topic that we talk about all the time. It's really, really important to us that our colleagues who we work with are happy, can do their job, and things are provided for them as well. But it actually becomes sort of your responsibility. I think in terms of NOKIA, it can only go a certain way to really help in your well-being. You also yourself have to step up to the mark as well, and it really then starts to become a partnership. We understand, obviously, in Generation Z that well-being is one of the most important topics, and it is something that you will look for probably when you're coming to an employer. You want to know how your well-being is going to be provided for. And I think it's really something that you're going to find much more of a topic that's going to be raised in the future as we come out of the pandemic and move into another phase of working. So those are my top 10 tips of student life versus employer life and sort of how to bridge that gap. I hope that some of the points I've raised have been really, really helpful. If you wanted to come and discuss, I wore a very bright pink jacket today. I actually have the trousers to match and thought, no, I'm not brave enough to do that. So I have put dark bottoms on. But you'll see me, hopefully, as we go out for coffee breaks and for lunch breaks. I collect people. That is one of the things. I love people. I love meeting a lot of people as well. And I can't wait to meet a lot of you today. So come up, ask me any questions that you want about me, about my career, about NOKIA, any way that I can help. And link me in as well. I'm on LinkedIn. So please, if you want to link me in, I'm on LinkedIn as well. So enjoy the conference, ask lots of questions, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you.